She thought she had total control of the neighborhood, wrote fines, gave orders, even tried to stop people from leaving. But when she called the cops on me for moving out without permission, she had no idea who she was dealing with. The moment I showed my FBI badge, her face turned white, and the officers flipped sides instantly. What Karen didn't know: I'd been undercover in her HOA for months and I had everything on her. Fake fines, stolen funds, illegal surveillance. Her entire empire was built on fraud, and when the feds came knocking, her clipboard couldn't save her. I'd spent 3 years living under the thumb of the most power-hungry HOA president I'd ever encountered, Karen Belmont. She treated the community like her personal kingdom, walking around with a clipboard, slapping fines for mailbox paint shades, and measuring grass blades with a ruler like she was leading a military operation. At first, I tolerated it because I was deep undercover and needed the house as part of a long-running FBI surveillance operation. But once my assignment wrapped, I couldn't wait to get the hell out. I'd finished the paperwork, closed the sale on my new house in the hills, and scheduled a moving truck. Simple, right? Not with Karen around. The morning I was packing boxes into the U-Haul, Karen came stomping across the lawn like she owned it. "Where do you think you're going?" she snapped. "Moving out," I said casually, tossing a box marked kitchen into the back of the truck. "You can't just leave without HOA clearance," she barked, waving her clipboard. "You didn't submit Form 19A for transitional moving protocols, and your landscaping hasn't been pre-cleared." I just blinked at her. "Karen, I sold the house. I'm gone. That's it." She puffed up like a balloon about to pop. "I'll be calling the police. You're in violation of the HOA's departure guidelines. There are penalties, and I am authorized to enforce them." I chuckled under my breath. She had no idea who she was talking to. 10 minutes later, 2 squad cars rolled up. Lights flashing, not with sirens, but enough to let everyone on the cul-de-sac know something was up. A couple of neighbors stepped out with popcorn. Karen, arms folded like a queen, addressing her peasants, flagged the officers down dramatically. "That man is fleeing the neighborhood in violation of the HOA charter," she yelled. "He's breaking several community codes, and he refused to complete the property relinquishment forms." The officers glanced at her, then at me. I stayed calm, leaning against my tailgate with the coffee in hand. One of them, Officer Daniels, stepped forward. "Sir, can we speak with you for a moment?" "Sure," I said smoothly, pulling my wallet from my back pocket and flipping it open to reveal my badge. "Special Agent Cole Matthews, FBI. I'm moving because my surveillance assignment here is over." The effect was immediate. Daniels stiffened. The younger officer behind him blinked like he'd just been told Santa was real, and standing in front of him, Karen's face drained of color, like someone unplugged her soul. "I waiter. You're FBI. She STAMMERED. Correct," I said. "Which means your little HOA rules don't apply here. And by the way, Karen, you've been obstructing federal work for months, harassing me, illegally entering my yard 3 times. I've documented it all." Daniels turned to Karen, face serious now. "Ma'am, we're going to need you to step back and stop interfering." I didn't know, he never said," she stuttered. "That's kind of the point of undercover work," I said with a small grin. Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon whole. The 2 officers had a quiet word with her off to the side, and I overheard phrases like potential harassment and you could have jeopardized a federal case. She didn't speak again after that. Just stood frozen as I calmly closed the truck and climbed into the cab. As I drove off, I gave one last glance in the rear-view mirror. Karen was standing in the middle of the street, clipboard dangling at her side, face stunned. Her reign had just ended, but she had no idea that the real fallout was only beginning. A week after I moved into my new house, a quiet place in the hills with no HOA and plenty of trees, I received a formal request from FBI HQ. Apparently, the agency had decided to follow up on a few civilian interference incidents related to my last operation. My detailed notes on Karen had raised some eyebrows. They asked if I'd be willing to assist in a separate background review into her HOA practices. I didn't hesitate. Turns out, Karen had been more than just annoying, she had been corrupt. We found bank transfers from HOA funds to a personal business account in her name. Fines she issued were often inflated or fabricated entirely, with residents too intimidated to challenge her. She'd even signed off on unauthorized surveillance, installing cameras that looked into neighbors' backyards without consent. The FBI collaborated with state auditors and the local DA's office. Within 2 weeks, subpoenas were issued for HOA financial records. Residents began speaking up. An elderly veteran who'd lived on the corner said Karen fined him $500 for unsightly flags. A young couple was charged monthly nuisance fees for having a stroller on their porch. A disabled woman had her ramp removed under the excuse that it violated front yard aesthetics. This wasn't petty power, it was targeted abuse. Karen had gotten too comfortable, too confident that nobody would challenge her authority. That changed fast when federal agents knocked on her door. I wasn't there for the arrest, but I saw the video one of the neighbors captured. Karen tried to wave her clipboard at the agents like it was some magical shield. "I'm the HOA president," she shouted. "Not anymore," one agent said flatly, snapping cuffs on her wrists. She was charged with embezzlement, harassment, wire fraud, and violations of the Federal Privacy Act. Her assets were frozen pending trial. The HOA was dissolved temporarily by court order, and a new oversight committee was formed. Most of the residents were relieved. Some even threw a block party. I was invited, of course. When I arrived, a few people clapped. I wasn't used to that kind of attention, but I appreciated the gesture. An older man with a long beard came up and handed me a root beer. "Thanks, Agent Matthews. Didn't think we'd ever be free of her." I nodded. Sometimes the worst villains were the most innocent faces, but they all make one mistake. "What's that?" "They mess with the wrong person." He laughed, shaking his head. "Well, I guess it's a good thing we had a Fed living next door." As the sun dipped over the rooftops, I sat back in a lawn chair, finally at peace. No more clipboard wars, no more surprise inspections. Just wind, quiet, and freedom. Karen had built her little kingdom on control and fear. But she never considered that someone in her neighborhood might not play by her rules, because they were writing the real ones in the end. It wasn't a neighbor or a lawyer or a complaint letter that brought her down. It was a badge.